What's up guys, Shawnthebro here, and in today's episode of the first person shooter tutorial series, we are going to be going over health regeneration in our game. We already have shield regeneration or shield recharge in our game, so basically if we take damage and then step away and wait a few seconds without taking any more damage, we will recharge our shields. We have health as well. The way it's going to work in this game is we have to wait for our shield to recharge fully, and then we will recharge our health. If we have health only damage, which is one of the options we can pass in while we are calling the take damage function. This is something like caustic gas in Apex Legends, where it ignores shield and goes straight to health damage. We will still be able to recharge our health at that point, but it will take longer than our shields take to recharge. Now, before we hop into this episode, if you want to get caught up in the entire first-person shooter tutorial series, so you can see how we've done our projectiles with our damage numbers, equipping different items, and weapon physics, then I'll go ahead and link you to the entire playlist right here in the top right corner of the screen. If you don't care about that and you just care about health regeneration, that's fine. You don't have to watch every episode in the playlist to get caught up and follow this. I do recommend you watch the shield regeneration video because we are going to be using the same ideas and mechanics in that episode, and it will help build onto your project for the logic in today's episode. But with all that out of the way, we can go ahead and get started. So this is a code and blueprint tutorial series. We're going to be doing everything in the code today. So first things first, let's go to Visual Studio. And in here we want to go to our FPS tutorial character.h. We're going to add quite a few variables for today's episode, so I'm scrolling down to my booleans here. And the first one I want to add is can health regen. So bool can health regen, and this determines if the character's health can be regenerated or not. So if this is false, we're not going to regenerate health. If it's true, we will regenerate health. It's pretty much that simple. It's very similar to our can shields recharge, although I am specifically using recharge for shields and regenerate for health. You'll notice as I go over the shield stuff, I use recharge and regenerate, but I think shields recharge and health regenerates. It's a good way to keep them separate just when talking about them. Note that this boolean is uProperty of edit anywhere, blueprint read write with a category of health. So edit anywhere and blueprint read write allow us to access it and edit it within the blueprint, and then the category of health just allows us to find it more easily. After that, we need to scroll down to our float variables. And I'm going to where my health variable is. So this is the current health of the character. I've added 3 variables regarding health, maximum, regeneration rate, and regeneration delay. So first is float max health. This is the maximum amount of health that the character can currently have. So meaning if you can upgrade your character's health, then of course this could change. So float max health, uProperty of edit anywhere, blueprint read write, and it's got a category of shield, which is a copy paste error. It should say health. Float health regeneration rate. So this is how quickly the health regenerates. Once we set our boolean to be true, that the player can regenerate their health, then we have to determine how quickly they regenerate it. If this is a low number, it's going to take a longer time to go from 0 health to 1 health. If this is a higher number, it's going to take less time to go from 0 to 1.0. Another uProperty of edit anywhere and blueprint read write, but the category again should be health. Lastly, we have the health regeneration delay, which is the amount of time before regenerating health, which is reset when taking damage. So whenever we take damage, we say that we cannot regenerate health for a given period of time. If that is 5 seconds with no damage before we can generate health again, then this value would be 5.0. So float health regeneration delay, uProperty of edit anywhere, blueprint read write with a category of health. We also are going to need a timer handle to know how much time has passed because we have our regeneration rate and our regeneration delay, but we need to determine if the delay has already been surpassed. So if we've already waited that 5 seconds, then set the boolean to be true, saying we can regenerate health. And I'm calling that fTimerHandle health regen timer handle. Those are all the variables we need, but we also need to add one function. So scroll down to your functions. I'm going to make a new one called enable health regen, which is right here. I put it right next to my enable shield recharge. So void enable health regen. This is really just what's going to set the boolean to be true, saying that we are able to regenerate health again. But it's good to put this in a function because we can have a timer that once it's finished, we call this function and start doing that action, which makes it perfect for using the health regeneration delay that we set up just a few minutes ago. Once we have all this ready in the header file, let's go to the FPS tutorial character.cpp and scroll down to the constructor where all of our default values for variables are. We're going to assign each of these, so can health regen should be false by default. The character is going to start with maximum health and maximum shields in most cases, so we're disabling health and shield regen. Then we have our 3 health variables that we added for today's episode. So maximum health, I'm setting it to be 1.0, which is also the same as health because we spawn in with full health. Health regeneration rate and health regeneration delay. So shield regeneration rate is at 0.25F. So 0.15F is less than that. The health is going to regenerate slower than the shield's recharge. The health regeneration delay, the time it takes after receiving damage before we can regenerate health, is going to be 5.0. This is going to be a time in seconds, so 5.0F is 5 seconds. You can see shield regeneration delay is only 3 seconds, so health regeneration is going to take longer to start than shield regeneration. We don't need to initialize the timer handle. Now we want to scroll down to our take damage function. Right here. Take damage takes in the actual damage amount, if shield should be ignored, or if health should be ignored. Now previously in the take damage function we had everything that you see highlighted here, except for 2 things. The timers. Those 2 highlighted sections there. This is because there was 1 timer toward the end of the logic here that started the timer for regenerating or recharging the character's shields. However, since we have health and shield regeneration now, we only want to start the timers for recharging or regenerating them when that specific type of health or shield has taken damage. So if we take shield damage, we want to start the shield regeneration timer. We don't need to start the health regeneration timer. This is my preference on how the system works. You don't have to follow that. Because I did want to do it that way, I went ahead and took the timer that was already in the take damage function, and I copied it, and instead I pasted it up here in the shield logic. So if we shouldn't ignore shields, meaning it's not health only damage, we are going to damage our shields. If the shield amount is greater than 0, no matter how little, they have some shield. And in this case, we are going to damage their shields. So at that point, I am going to start the timer for regenerating or recharging the character's shields. This is the same line that I copied from take damage. To give a quick overview, we're getting the world to get the timer manager, and we're calling set timer on it. We're passing in shield regen timer handle, which is a variable we have in the header file to manage this timer. This is the object that we're going to be calling a function on, or the object that's handling this behavior. This is the function that we're calling right here. So ampersand a FPS tutorial character : enable shield recharge. This is the amount of time that it takes for the timer to call this function. This variable was 3.0f in the constructor, which means 3 seconds. This means don't repeat the timer once we've finished it. Once you've copied that behavior into this if shield amount check right here, then you can remove the timer from below. Now, in the next set of logic where we make sure that we shouldn't ignore health, this means it's not shield only damage, and in which case we want to trigger the health regeneration. So after health has subtracted the finalized damage amount, then we're going to get a new timer going for the character's health. So get world, get timer manager, .set timer. We're using our health regen timer handle. This character is still the object we want to call this on, and this time we're going to call ampersand a FPS tutorial character : enable health regen. For the actual time, we want to use our health regeneration delay. And we don't want to start this timer again once it finishes, so we're going to pass in false. Since we've also taken damage at this point, we want to set can health regen to be false, the same way we're setting can shields recharge to be false. I decided not to put these within the if statements for the shields and health respectively, so that anytime we take any damage, health or shields, we are unable to regenerate health at that point. However, I think it's actually better to include this in the same spot that we use the timer, because this could lead to some confusing results if we don't spell it out to the player, and there's some weird edge cases there as well. So I'm going to move the Ken Shields recharge that was in here from previous episodes, and I'm going to put it right above the timer for the shield regeneration. So can shields recharge equals false right up here now, which means I'll take it away from where it was. Now it's within the shield logic. And because of that, I'm going to do the same thing for the health. I think this actually does make quite a bit of sense. But again, you can customize it to your liking. You don't have to do it the way I'm doing it. And then this is our camera shake effect, which was already in this function. So now our take damage function is updated. We need to make our new function that we're calling here enable health regen. So scroll down to where you want to make this function. And I have mine here right next to the shield recharge. So void AFPS tutorial character : enable health regen. And the only condition is if we're not dead. If the character is dead, then we don't want to regenerate their health at this point. So if they're not is dead, meaning they're alive, then health can regenerate. So we want to set can health regen to be true. Then scrolling down to the tick function, I've added some more logic to actually perform the health update. So previously in the series, we had this check here where we're checking if the character is not dead, then check to see if they're missing any shields, or basically if the shield amount is less than the max shield amount. If they are, check if they're able to regenerate or recharge shields. If they are, we're doing this logic here to actually recharge them. I have an else statement in here that I added. So if the shield amount is equal or somehow greater than the maximum shield amount, then we can go on to health regeneration. This is not required to be in an else statement. If you do it this way, then your health and shields have to be maxed before your health can regenerate. If that's not what you want, don't put it inside of an else statement. Put it inside of an if statement that looks exactly like the shield one, but check if the health is less than the max health. If you're following my method though, I have an else statement off of that shield if statement, and we check to see if can health regen. So if we can regenerate health. If we can, we set our health variable equal to fmath : f_interp constant 2, our health value to our max health value. Or in other words, current, which is health, this is the current health that we have, max, which is our max health, that's what we're trying to reach, or our target. We have the delta time, which is how much time has passed since the last time this was called. Tick takes in a float delta time, so we can use that delta time here. And then we have our interp speed, which is going to be our health regeneration rate. Once you have all this in, you're ready to launch the editor. Anyway, guys, that's all I've got for you for today's episode, so thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this episode on health regeneration, then please subscribe. If you want to give extra support through Patreon, YouTube membership, or Discord subscriptions and get some extra benefits along the way, then feel free to check out what you're seeing on the screen for those different tiers, and thank you so much to the people who already have. If you ran into any issues with this tutorial or any of my tutorials, feel free to join the Discord community. There's a link in the description, and I would be happy to help you out with any problems you ran into. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Shawnthebro, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye, guys.